So we're going to try and, so today we're going to focus a little bit more on the core. We'll start seated just to kind of get into the breath. So you can start just cross-legged, knees a little bit wider, sitting up nice and tall. You always try and spread the buttocks a little bit as well. And just letting the shoulders go down the back. So for some of us, we'll sit up a little taller and we end up arching our lower back. So if you can, you almost want to get one hand on your lower back and one hand on your front and just see, and you're sort of kind of trying to tilt the pelvis a little bit. So you're sort of tilting it forwards or tilting it back. For some of us, it'll be a little more challenging to actually try and tilt it forward slightly, or it feels like it's tilting back. But if you can, just try to get to a neutral position where you can try and feel like your spine is completely straight up towards the crown of the head. And you might find that you have to kind of just pull in a little bit. And it feels like your lower ribs are trying to pull down towards your ribs. So we're just trying to engage these muscles just underneath the ribs. And sometimes you can get your fingers there and actually feel it. So ribs just pull down slightly. And then just try to keep in that position if you can, closing the eyes. And then just trying to get into the breath. So shoulders relaxing down. And just starting to take some deeper breaths. And it might feel a little unusual if you're not used to sitting like this, but we're just trying to find the neutral spine. Notice how that might feel in the hips. Sometimes it makes the hips feel a little tighter as they're having to work a little harder. Sometimes it feels a little harder with the core and you can feel those muscles having to engage. But we don't need to necessarily try and change anything at this point, but just notice how it feels. And then just finding that nice steady breath when you're ready. Just making the exhales a little longer. And the inhales a little deeper. Just feeling the chest rise and fall. And the shoulders soften with the exhale. Then let's do a couple more. Now just opening the eyes when you're ready. All right, we're going to try and stretch it up, but as you do, you're just going to notice how it feels. So as we lift the hands and reach up, our ribs are going to lift as well. I want you to try to keep the ribs pulling down if you can, just so that we can keep those muscles under the ribs engaged. So when you're ready, just taking the hands out in front, keep the ribs pulling down as you take the hands up higher. So it's going to be a little more challenging. Challenge the range of motion in our shoulders a little as well. So keep trying to reach up, just notice where you get to. And again, just feel those ribs pulling down. Lovely. Exhale, just release all the way back down. And then just taking the hands out in front of you, just shifting the weight slightly forwards into the hips, fingertips forwards and lifted slightly. And then just try to round the back, pull the belly in, and then pull the ribs down towards the pelvis as well. And you should find that you can round your back a little easier by doing this with the front of the body, and just stretch out the back a little bit more as well. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, just rounding the back a little more, dropping the head. Lovely, well done. Nice big inhale, look forwards, and exhale, just bringing the hands all the way back in. Lovely, well done. We're going to come up onto the hands and knees and just work into the back a little bit more. We'll just start by stretching out into the wrists a little. So if you turn your fingers in, so elbows are out, and then just push into your upper back. So just reaching into that upper back. Should be a little easier to pull the ribs in, round the back. Belly pulls in as well. Well then, take an exhale. And then when you're ready, just releasing the hands and then turning the fingers all the way out. And just nice and slowly moving from side to side. So just getting a nice stretch out. Sometimes a little easier than shifting the weight forwards and back. Just get to do this a little more evenly. Again, keep pulling the belly in. And then back to neutral, turning the hands back to how we usually have them, fingers spreading wide. And then just shift the weight slightly forwards, tuck your toes and lift the knees up. just a couple of inches off the floor. So this is going to help us to really fire up the core. You can start to tuck the tailbone a little more. Feel the ribs pull towards the pelvis and pull the belly in. Should feel strong into the shoulders, pressing into the upper back. So just a little core exercise. Give a nice big inhale. Exhale, hold that pose. Lovely, one more breath. Excellent, well done. And then nice and slowly, just dropping the knees back down. Good work. Lift the chest, look forwards, just stretch the front of the body. Well done. And we're going to go for our downward facing dog. So keep the toes tucked under. Press the hips back so you can lift the knees and really straighten the arms. As if you're trying to really stretch the shoulders away from the hands. Should feel like you're in a nice low squat. And then start to lift the hips up a little higher. Pressing the hips back so you keep feeling that stretch into the arms, maybe into the shoulders, maybe down the sides of the body as well. We're just going to keep it nice and short with the stance. Keep the knees fairly bent. And just reaching, stretching down the back. Well done. You should find that it's a little easier to pull the belly in. Hollowing out the middle section if you can. Lovely. One more breath. Excellent. Lovely. Looking forward. Stepping the feet nice and slowly towards the hands. And then when you're ready, just keep the knees nice and soft. Let the head drop down. Relax the neck. Maybe taking hold of either elbow. And just completely relax the arms, the shoulders. Just letting the top of the body, the upper body just feel heavy. Keeping the knees nice and soft. Lovely. Take one more breath. Exhale, just sinking down a little heavier. Good work, well done. And then nice and slowly, just lift the head, lift the chest. Just coming into our nice halfway lift. Lovely. Exhale, soften the knees, take the hands to the floor, and then just shift the weight into the hands if you can. Pull the belly in, drop the head, look at the feet, and just see if you can keep the arms straight and strong. So shoulders coming slightly over the wrists. Well done. And step the feet all the way back to plank. So we're going to hold in our plank, just lower the hips slightly, pull the belly in and squeeze the buttocks, looking forward a little. Well done. Try not to lift the head completely because you lose that core sometimes. So sometimes just looking straight at the floor can help. Lovely. One more breath. Grip with the fingers. Excellent. And then shifting forward slightly, lower the knees, push the chest forwards and lower towards the floor. Lovely. Take the feet nice and wide. And then inhale, lift the chest, lift the heart, and then come into your upward facing dog. Shoulders down the back. Exhale, release. Tuck the toes. And pressing into that tabletop position. Inner elbows face forwards. You're going to start to lift the knees, send them back, hips back, and then lifting the hips up nice and high. So coming into our full downward facing dog now. You can always pedal out the legs a little here, but hopefully feeling a little more stretched into the arms, the shoulders, the upper arms in particular. And just pedaling out through the legs. That's where you might get to stretch out down either side of the hip. Sometimes have a little sort of twist if you want into that lower back, just so you feel that extra stretch down the sides. Well done. Just checking in with the front of the body, see if you can keep the belly point in. And it almost feels like you're trying to hollow out your pelvic area. So really suck in if you can. Well done. One more breath. Excellent. Well done. Nice and slow, walking the feet in towards the hands. Well done. Coming into that nice halfway lift. You can always keep the knees soft if you need to. Lift the chest. And exhale, folding down. Drop the head. Lovely. Inhale, reaching the hands all the way back up. We're reaching up. Press the pelvis forwards, thighs back, lift the chest, and exhale all the way back. Lovely. We're going to do another sun salutation. So this time we're going to try and keep that core engaged. So feel your ribs pull down towards your hips. So you're shortening the space across the front or the midsection of the body. Now taking the hands up, but keep those ribs pulling down. You should find it's much, much harder to reach the hands up. Well done. Maybe lift and look up as well. Keep pressing those, pulling the ribs down, pressing the thighs back. Lovely. Exhale, fall towards the floor. Completely relax. Sinking down, drop the head, relax the neck. Lovely. Inhale, halfway lift. Try to keep the belly pulling in as you lift up. So it might be more challenging to lift the chest, but keep the belly pulling in. Lovely. Exhale, plant the hands, step the feet back to plank. Well done. I'm going to hold here. So lower the hips slightly, enough that the core kicks in. Squeeze the glutes, looking straight down at the floor. Strong, straight arms, and press into the upper back. So when we press into the upper back, it's really good strength building for some other postures like headstand, crow pose. Just helps us to really build that upper body strength. Well done. One more breath. Excellent. Shift forward slightly, lower the knees. Chest forwards, elbows in, lower towards the floor. Well done. Feet nice and wide. Take the hands a little wider. Lift the chest. Out, shoulders down towards the hips. Push the heart forwards and lower towards the floor. Lovely. Hands in nice and close to the ribs. Coming back into that tabletop. Inner elbows face forwards. Lift the knees. Press the hips back. And then taking those hips up a little higher. Good work. Well done. Nice deep breaths. 1. Starting to feel like you're warming up the body a little now. Building some heat. 2. Feeling that stretch down the arms now. Feeling the front of the body nice and strong. So you can still try and pull your lower ribs at the front down towards your hips, towards your pelvis. Well done. 3. You're going to feel like you're rounding your back slightly by doing this. 4. Still going to get a nice stretch into the spine. And 5. Lovely. Looking forward. Stack the feet in nice and slowly. Coming into that halfway lift at the top. Again, try to pull the belly in for this one. And exhale, completely relax, folding down. Well done. Inhale, we're going to lift all the way back up. But again, try to go as high as you can without those ribs lifting up. So try to keep them pulling down. Hold it there. Nice big inhale. And exhale all the way back. Choose standing. Good stuff, well done. Hopefully feeling this one. We're going to do one more, a little harder. Nice big inhale, reaching up. Again, just keep those ribs pulling down. Keep sending the arms back. And tighter in the shoulders. Lovely. Exhale, fold towards the floor. Completely relax. Good. Inhale, lift up. Try to pull the belly in as you lift. Well done. Exhale, soften the knees, plant the hands, and see if you can shift the weight into the hands. Straighten the arms and really push into the upper back. This one's quite a challenging one to do, but a really good one to work towards building that upper body strength and that core strength as well. Keep pulling the belly in. Take one more breath. So you've got that really nice rounded upper back. Excellent. And when you're ready, stepping your right foot back, then your left. Lower the hips, then nice strong plank. I'm going to do 2 breaths here. Spread the fingers, push into the upper back, squeeze the glutes, looking down towards the floor, and just pushing slightly into that upper back. Well done. Nice big inhale. Exhale, hold it there. Feel the shake maybe. One more. Last one, grip with the fingers. Excellent, well done. Shift forwards, lower the knees. Chest forwards, lower towards the floor. Well done, feet nice and wide. Take the hands a little wider as well. Start to lift the belly off the floor, get that nice stretch across the front of the body. Shoulders down the back, heart forwards, and melt it all the way towards the floor. Lovely, hands back in by the ribs, tuck the toes. Tabletop position. Well done, lift the knees, send the hips back. Straight, strong arms. And again, start to straighten the legs a little. Hopefully feeling like your legs are a little more warmed up now. Take some deep breaths, steady the breath. Maybe pressing the heels back if you feel like you can straighten your legs. So fire up the thighs, heels back, calves back, thighs back. And again, down that front of the body, we've got that little bit of a pull in of the belly, ribs towards the pelvis. Well done. 3, maybe spread the toes. 4, And 5. Excellent. Well done. Looking forward. Step your feet towards the hands. Nice halfway lift at the top. Belly pulls in. Exhale. Keep the belly pulling in as you fall down. Relax the rest of the body. Excellent. Inhale. Coming up all the way back up. But again, remember trying to keep those ribs pulling down. Lift looking up as well. Keep them pulling in. And exhale all the way back. She's done. Good stuff, well done. All right, let's go into our triangle pose now. But again, I'm just going to focus a little bit more on the core. So nice big wide stance. Take the right foot towards the back of the mat. And then just try and engage the front of the body. So ribs pulling towards your pelvis, like you're tucking under with your tailbone. You're instantly going to feel the glutes kick in. Hips or outer hips can squeeze together. Keep that front engagement if you can, and then lowering down. You should find it's harder to go lower. So just work to where you can. So a little more challenging to go lower. Keep that front of the body nice and engaged. You should feel more of a stretch down the left side of the back. Maybe reach the top hand up. Nice deep breaths. Well done. So we often do our triangle pose, but we focus on the legs sometimes. But just today we're focusing on the core a little more. Tucking under with the tailbone still to help you keep that core engagement. See how it feels. Keep the ribs pulling in, belly pulling in as well. Trying to make sure that you've got no arch in the lower back or the mid back. You can always take that top hand down and just check it in. Maybe taking the gaze up. Well done. 2 more breaths. Legs straight, legs strong. Last one. Excellent. Well done. Nice and slowly look down at the front foot, push into the knee, coming all the way back up. Well done. I'm going to pivot round to do the left side. So right foot is nice and parallel, left foot towards the front. Again, try and engage the front. So lower ribs pull down towards the pelvis, nice and tight here, belly in. And then again, reaching forwards, lower down. But again, just go as far as you can without losing that front engagement. So a little more challenging today. You might feel that deeper stretch down the right side of the body or even into the right side of the lower back, maybe all the way to the mid back as well. Well done. Maybe taking that top arm up or taking it towards the lower back and just checking in that you've not got that arch in the lower back or the mid back. Checking it under with the tailbone. Good work. Well done. Legs strong, legs straight. Excellent. 3, 4, and 5. Well done. Looking down at the front foot, push into the knee, coming all the way back up. And then we're going to pivot over to the right again. So right side, I'm going to go a little bit harder now with this triangle pose, but with the core engaged. You're going to reach your right hand forwards. Try and take that arch out the lower back. Keep everything nice and strong in the front of the body. Keeping that right hand forwards, we're going to stay here. And then to make it harder, we're going to take our left arm up as well. So a little more challenging. Sometimes when we do our triangle pose, we put a lot of weight into our leg by leaning in with the hand. But you're going to keep it out if you can. You're going to feel that front body firing up. Well done. 2, 3, strong in the legs. 4, and 5. Well done. Release the hands down, pushing into the knee, coming up. Well done. Pivoting round. So right foot parallel, left foot forwards. Again, reaching forwards with that left hand. Really pull in under with the tailbone. Feel the front body engage. Hold it there. I'm going to make it harder by taking the top arm up as well. See how that feels. Hold it there. Feel the fire. Well done. 1, 2, 3. Legs strong, legs straight. 4. Steady breath. And 5. Good work. Well done. Push into the knee, coming all the way back up. Well done. Hopefully feeling that fire building now. All right, we're going to try a forward fold as well now. We'll go with the wide legged one, just to get into the hips as well. Feet nice and parallel. Soften the knees and then take the hands towards the floor, or fingertips is fine. And now, if you can, just start to lean slightly forwards into the front of the toes. So a little more into the front of the feet, less into the heels. Just going to allow our pelvis to tilt a little. And then before you go lower, just try to straighten the legs. So fire up the thighs, straighten the legs. Keep leaning forward. So sometimes when we straighten the legs, the hips go back. So lean forwards that little bit more. Now pull the belly in and really round the back. You can drop the head to help. And keep that rounded back if you can. And if you're really firing up the front of the body, it's going to make it harder to go lower. So keep firing up. Well done. Hold it there. Might feel a little unusual, a little different. Good work. 2. Legs strong. 3. Imagine your outer hips squeezing towards each other. You can get that inner lift. Good. 4. And 5. Well done. Soften the knees, round the back more, and come all the way up to standing. Good stuff. Well done. And then nice big step all the way back to the front. Well done. All right, we're going to carry on with our core, but we're going to do a lot more on the floor now. So top of the mat when you're ready. Again, we're going to try and lift up. So you're taking the hands up as high as you can, but keep those ribs pulling down. Well done. Squeeze the glutes. Hold it there. Looking up towards the ceiling. And exhale, fall towards the floor. Soften the knees if you need to. Relax the head, the neck, the hands, the arms. Lovely. Inhale, halfway lift. Belly pulls in a little. Excellent. Plant the hands. Maybe get that little lean forwards into the hands. Press into the upper back. Well done. And exhale. Take the feet all the way back to plank. Holding your plank. Looking straight down at the floor. Strong, straight arms. Press into the upper back. Lower the hips a little. But as you lower the buttocks, you're going to have to squeeze the glutes, the buttocks, and pull the belly in a little more. Well done. Hold it there. One more breath. Excellent. Well done. Shift forwards, lower the knees. Chest forwards and lower towards the ground. Well done. Feet nice and wide. Take the hands behind you, clasp the fingers, and then lift the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades. Nice stretch down the front of the body. And exhale, release. Well done. Hands come down on the floor. Tuck the toes back onto the knees. And again, we're going for that down dog. So press the hips back, strong, straight arms. Keep stretching back. And then take the legs a little straighter or completely strong by engaging the thighs. Well done. Take a breath. Good work. Well done, everyone. All right, so coming through to seated, and have a look at doing some more core work. So we're coming onto our back, so you can lower down onto your back, and then just pull the knees in a little closer towards you. So some of us, we need to really look after our core because we might take a lot of the impact into our lower back. So we might have a super strong lower back, which does mean that it can get very tight and we can get pain in the lower back. So you might have to be really careful here. So you're better to back off if you're not used to doing a lot of core, but I'll try and give you some modifications to help. So to start with, if you pull your right knee in towards you, you can grab the top of the shin with both hands and then take your left leg out and away from you. So use a little bit of the hip flexor as well. Straight left leg, point through the toes, and then inhale, lift the right leg, lift the shoulder and the head towards your right knee or your right leg and hold it here. Well done. So you can keep holding here, try and feel a little lighter with the hands. And if you want to go further, you're going to take your hands out to the side and just feel that core working. Well done. 1. Nice deep breath. So you're either holding on to make it a little easier or you're reaching your hands out. 2. 3. Now you want to feel that lower back on the floor. 4. And 5. Well done. Hook back into the right knee. Bring the left knee in as well. And then when you're ready, you want to switch over. So hands go onto the left leg or the left shin and then stretching your right leg out. Well done. Lift the chest, lift the head a little more. And again, keep hold of the left shin or you're going to reach the hands out. Well done. 1. Nice deep breaths. 2. Do as much as you can. 3. Don't push it. 4. Keep that lower back on the floor. And 5. Good work. Pull that left knee in, pull the right knee in, and release. So we're going to take the legs out and away from you. Stretch the hands up and over the top of the head and just get that nice stretch down the front of the body, which should feel nice. So stretch in the core, stretch in the front. Excellent, well done. Okay, for our next one, we're going to try and go a little bit further. So if you can, just bring your knees in closer towards you, but have the feet lifted. So you're trying to make a nice right angle with your legs. Have the knees a little further away from you. And you want to feel the lower back, the sacrum area, pressing into the ground. You can always take your hands around your waist or around your hips and make sure that you're tucking under with the tailbone. Well done. Nice and slowly, you're going to lower your right toe towards the floor and then bring it back up. And then do the same with the left toe as well. And again, bring it back up. I'm going to try and do 5 on each side. So lowering down with the right, that's 1. Lowering down with the left, 2. Nice and slowly. 3. Keep that lower back on the floor. And keep tucking under with the tailbone if you can. 5. Good work. 5 more. 6. Nice and slowly. You should feel that lower part of the core really working. Good. 8. Keep going. 9. Keep that little tuck under with the tailbone. Last 1. And 10. Good work. Well done. Again, release the feet all the way out and away from you. Stretch your hands up and over. Getting a nice stretch out. Lovely. All right. From here, pull the knees back in towards the chest. Have a little hug in. So grab the top of the shins. Take the knees a little bit wider. Toes can come together. And then when you're ready, lift the head, lift the shoulders. So we're going to fire up the front of the body again. This time, maybe taking the hands out to the side. Or if you want to make it a little harder, you can take the hands up and over the top of the head. Well done. Really feel that core kicking in. You're going to have to lift the chest a little harder, a little higher if you can. Well done. 1. Nice deep breaths. Or you can hug in if you need to. 2. Well done. 3. So taking the hands back further is going to make it harder. 4. Straight arms if you can. And 5. Good work. Well done. Release. Stretch out. Hopefully feeling that. Take the arms up and over. It almost feels like you're arching your mid-back, your upper back a little. That'll help you to stretch it out. Excellent. All right, so we're going to rock up to seated. So just pull your knees in, cross the feet, and then rock up to seated. Now try to go a little bit further. So the next one's going to help us with our hip flexors. So if you come back down onto your elbows, and then really tuck under with the tailbone so your lower back is touching the floor. If you know you're all right with your lower back, you can have a little bit of an arch there, but you'll work the hip flexors a little more. Bend your knees in towards the chest, and then take your right leg out nice and straight. Well done. Take the left leg out nice and straight as well. So it's a little variation of boat pose, this one. And then just take your feet a little lower, and you just want to do this sort of millimeter at a time. And you should get to the point where you start to feel a little bit of the shake on, and you're feeling everything working. And you can even take your fingers to the front and just check that everything's fired up. Well done. So you're going to hold it there. The higher you go, the easier it is. The lower you go, the harder it is. But just go to where you can. Well done. 1, spread the toes. 2, legs straight if you can. 3, 4, well done. 1 more. And 5. Good work. Well done. Release. Coming all the way back up. And then just take the hands onto the knees and lift the chest so you get that stretch of the front of the body. Excellent. Well done. Okay, let's go a little further. I'm going to take the hands down in front. Step the feet all the way back to plank. Well done. I'm going to hold in our plank again. Well done. You're going to feel this tomorrow. Nice and fired up. Lower the hips a little. Strong straight arms looking down at the floor. Good. Another breath. Nice big inhale. Exhale. Inhale, leaning forwards. And exhale, lower the knees, push the chest forwards, and lower towards the floor. Well done. Feet nice and wide. Clasp the fingers behind you. And this time, clasp the fingers the other way. So there'll be a way that you always do. And if you can, just switch it up. And then lift the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades, looking up towards the ceiling. Take a nice big inhale, fire up the legs. And exhale, release them. Really well done. Taking the hands down by the ribs. Pushing it up into your tabletop. Inner elbows face forwards. And then again, shift the hips back. Strong straight arms. Press the hips back. Feel those upper arms fire up into your downward facing dog. With a nice stretch here. Nice strong breath. Lovely. 1 more. Spread the toes. Strong legs. Excellent. Well done. All right, we're going to try and go a little bit further. So if you drop your knees down towards the floor and then drop your elbows towards the floor as well. So to make it a little more challenging, you're going to spread your fingers, so elbows are underneath the shoulders and hands are flat on the floor. You can even grip the floor with your fingers. If you want to make it a little easier, which you might do because you don't know what's coming, you're going to clasp your fingers together and make a little triangle with your arms. Then you can either walk your knees back so your feet are lifted off the floor and lower the hips down. And you're going to try to stay here for 5, but we want to pull those ribs in, belly in as well, and hold it here. If you want to make it a little harder, tuck the toes and do a plank position. So it starts to get a little harder as we get a little lower towards the floor. And do 5 breaths here. Squeeze the glutes, tuck the tailbone. Well done. 1, you look down at the hands or between the hands. 2, make sure the sides of the body kicking in as well. 3, 4, and 5. Good work. Well done. Lower the knees if they're not already. And then just lift the head, lift the chest. Just get a little bit of a stretch out. All right, we're going again, but we're going to make it have a little bit of movement in this one. So again, either have the knees go back slightly, and you're going to lean forwards and try to bring the chin over the top of the hands, and then you're going to press back a little. So pressing back, just get a nice stretch out, and then forwards. And you want to try and do this nice and slowly with control. This is what we call our yoga drills. So do yoga drills every Thursday morning, and we do just 15 minutes. But it's enough to get us moving, get the heat building, get the breath building. And then obviously, if you want to make this one harder, do like a down dog. So coming forwards as much as you can, shifting all the way back. Well done, let's try to do a couple more. Nice and slowly with control. Well done, 3, 4, last one, and 5. Well done. Lower the knees down towards the floor and just go into child's pose. Well done. We're going to completely relax the shoulders, the arms, taking the hands back nice and slowly, one at a time. And then just let the forehead come towards the floor. You can take the side of the head down if that's a little easier. Keep your knees nice and wide, toes touching maybe. And then just come into that breath. And you can feel the back of the chest expand. Lovely. 3 more. Just completely let the shoulders relax forwards and down. Let the arms relax, fingers, hands, wrists. Excellent. 1 more. Good stuff. Well done. All right, so we're coming through onto our hands again. We're going to try to get the glutes involved with this one as well. So, and then we'll go a little bit further. So with this one, again, you can go down onto your elbows. So if you've had enough with the wrists, because it can be quite tough, just come down onto your elbows and clasp the fingers. Or you can stay up into your plank, which will make this one a little more challenging. You're going to lean slightly forward, take your feet back to plank, whether you're on your elbows or on your hands. And then you're going to try and lift your right leg and point through the toes and hold it there. So your core is going to fire up. Your glutes going to kick in on that right side as well. And I'm going to hold it here for 5. Well done. 2, 3, should be challenging. 4, keep the hips low to make it harder. And 5, well done. Switching over, left leg, point through the toes. 1, well done. 2, not an easy one. 3, do what you can. 4, and 5, well done. Lowering down, drop the knees. And lower towards the floor. Good work, everyone. Well done. Take the feet nice and wide. Lift the chest, come into your upward facing dog. Exhale, release. And then coming through for your downward facing dog. Stretch it out. Good work, well done. All right, coming through to seated. When you're ready, we'll give those wrists a little bit of a break. Woo! Firing it up today, that's for sure. Okay. So this next one, we're working towards crow pose, and we'll have a little go at this today. So I'm just going to try and show you it on your back to start with, because it can just really give you that feeling of the core firing up. So on your back, and it's similar to what we've been working on, have the knees a little wider, toes touching, big toes touching, and then lift the chest as much as you can. So really use hands on the ankles or the shins to pull you up and hold you there. And you should feel that front body nice and fired up. If you want to go a little bit further, so let's try and do a couple more breaths here, just so we can really feel that. Trying to lift the chest as much as possible. Try and get the shoulders higher and higher off the floor. And you want to feel like you're really rounding the back. Well done. One more breath. Excellent. And release all the way back down. All right, so head and shoulders down. Take your knees wider and just see if you can get your elbows to the inside of your knees. And then try to hug your knees in closer. So your lower back is going to have to come off the floor. And that should allow your knees to go a little bit closer towards your upper arms or towards your elbows. And then either flatten the hands as if you're trying to push the ceiling away, or just have the fingertips straight up. So just see how that feels. Basically, we're doing our crow pose upside down. And now, if you can, you're going to lift the head and shoulders as well. And see if you can reach your hands up even higher. And then squeeze your knees in around your arms. And this should feel really strong. And this is our crow pose, but upside down. Well done. 2, 3, 4. And 5. Good work, well done everyone. And completely release. Like stretch those feet out. Hands up and over and get that nice stretch down the front of the body. Little arch in the back so you can completely stretch out. Excellent, well done. And again, pull the knees into the chest. Cross at the ankles. You can rock up to seated. All right, and let's have a little go at doing our crow pose. So crow pose is an arm balance. And the idea is that we're not trying to jump the feet up or pop the feet up in any way. We're actually relying on just shifting our body weight forwards. So I'm going to show you a little exercise just to help you understand what's going on with the shoulders and the wrists. So if you come into tabletop position, spread the fingers nice and wide, just like we do with our plank and our down dog. And now try to grip with the fingers so that we're shifting the weight a little bit more further forwards and less into the base of the wrist. Then lean forward, so your shoulders are having to come over the top of the wrists. And see if you can hold it there. So try and get as far forward as you can and see how it feels. Obviously look after your wrists. Grip with the fingers. So that is where we want to be when we are in our crow pose. We want the shoulders to be quite far forwards of our wrists. Lift and look forwards and see how that feels in the back as well. Well done. And then come back and just shake it out. Well done. Always a bit tricky with the wrists on that one. Okay, and then we'll have a little go at doing crow pose. So we need to shift the shoulders quite far forwards over the wrists to get into crow pose. So from here, if you come onto your toes or onto your feet, have the heels nice and lifted high. So it's like a squat position. So even if you don't go any further, this one's going to be really good to open out the hips and get into a nice squat position. And we can try and understand the mechanics of the pose, even if we don't get into it today. So hands down, fingers spread nice and wide. And when you're in your squat position, you want to have the knees to the outside of the arms. And if you can, just squeeze your knees in around the upper arms. So just give them a little bit of a squeeze. Well done. And then if you want to go further, you're going to keep looking forward as far as you can. As soon as you look down towards the floor, which is always the temptation, we tend to go in that direction. So we want to go forward, so we want to keep looking forwards. Keep squeezing the knees in. Start to lift the hips a little higher. So they might be down by the heels, lift them up a little higher. Keep looking forwards and keep leaning forwards. You're trying to get the shoulders over the wrists. And if you get far enough forwards, you might feel the toes get a little lighter and they might pick up. So have a little go. Well done, keep looking forwards, don't look down. And if there is that fear factor when you first start getting into this one, you can have things like a block or cushions is probably a little easier. But when you're getting into this one, you can actually start by having the head down on a block. So then you've not really got anywhere to go, and then you can practice coming up and just balancing and then lifting the head. But cushions down on the floor is good, and then you don't get that fear of face planting. But well done, that's our little crow pose. So homework for the week if you want to practice that one. But it is a tough one, but it's a really great way to start getting into arm balances and building that upper body strength. So well done, everyone. We're going to take our hands forwards and just take the feet back. Well done. Lower the knees and then lower the chest towards the floor. Feet back, lift the chest a little. Exhale, release. Come back into tabletop. And then you can just bring the knees forward slightly, take them a little wider, and just drop back into that child's pose. Take the hands back behind you, and then just completely relax. Nice deep inhales. Nice deep exhales. And you just want to allow the shoulders to naturally roll forwards. You just want to allow the wrists to feel heavy. Just stay there a little longer and just completely relax. Nice deep breaths. Try and breathe into the upper back. Just feeling like you're broadening the upper back with every exhale. Lovely, one more. Excellent, well done everyone. And then nice and slowly, just coming up, and we're going to make our way through to Shavasana, so our final relaxation. So you can come through to seated, take the feet all the way out and away from you, and then just lowering down. If you want an extra little core challenge, if you take your feet out nice and wide, you're going to tuck under with the tailbone, so round your back, and then hands out, you're going to roll down nice and slowly. And it is a really nice one to do. Because one, it will help you work the core, but it will also allow you to really try and align the spine. So especially if you naturally have got that arch in the lower back, and when you lie flat, you don't feel like the lower back touches the ground, that rounding of the back and rolling down can really help you get into that and allow that back to come a little closer to the floor. And then once you're lying on your back, just tucking the chin slightly. Having the hands a little out to the side, palms facing up. And then just taking a couple of deeper breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And just allow your back to feel heavy with those exhales, to sink down into the earth. Allow the shoulders to feel heavy, to feel more relaxed, and sink into the earth. And just allow the breath to start to let go a little, to return to its natural rhythm. And at the same time, and just allowing your feet to relax, your ankles and your calves. Allowing your knees and your thighs to relax. And allowing the hips to feel heavy and to sink down into the earth, deeper and deeper. And your lower back relax, your mid back, your upper back. And allow the shoulders, the back of the head to feel heavier and heavier. And sink deeper and deeper into the earth. Let go of the breath. Let go of the body. And let go of the mind. I'm just going to lie here for a couple of minutes. It's going to give you a little bit of a longer Shavasana today. Just allowing your body to completely relax, to completely rest after your hard work. So just be still and to just let go. Now with the eyes still closed, just start to bring some awareness back to the breath. Maybe taking a nice big deep breath in, and a big sigh out through the mouth. Now maybe just starting to wake up the limbs a little. Maybe with one of the fingers, the toes, maybe rotating the wrists, the ankles. And then on your next inhale, maybe taking the hands up and over the top of the head. And just having a nice big stretch. And again, maybe arching the back, just feeling that stretch all the way down the sides of the body, down to the toes. Now maybe releasing the hands back down. And on your next inhale, maybe pulling the knees into the chest. Just having a little hug in. Just easing out the lower back, rounding the lower back a little. And even getting a little rock from side to side, so just stretch out the lower back. And then nice and slowly, just rolling over to the right hand side. Taking a nice deep breath here. And when you're ready, just starting to bring yourself back up to seated. You may always keep the eyes closed still if you want to. And then just taking the hands to heart center towards the chest. And then just taking the hands to the forehead. And around the head. Namaste. Thank you very much. Good luck. Well done, everybody. That was a really strong one today, but hopefully we fired up the core. Had something a little bit different, and we had a little bit doing an arm balance as well, and a little bit of a longer relaxation as well, which is well deserved. So well done, everybody. Thank you very much, and I shall see you all soon.